Hello and welcome to day 1000 of self-isolation. Sorry, that was my intro voice. Welcome to our webinar on mindfulness meditation today. If you are new joining us for this series, this is week 2 of our Wednesday mindfulness meditation with Grant Wardlow. And it is also part of a Wellness Matters During COVID webinar series that our team is hosting. And you can look online at our upcoming webinars. We've got one this Friday night, a sort of date night edition about coping with the stress and communicating as couples during this challenging time. Grant will give us a meditation, and then we will have some time afterwards for those of you who want to join us and share with us how your meditation practice is going. I'm curious whether some of you are trying it in between these weekly sessions. And if you have any questions for Grant, he is here to answer them as well. And so with that, I will turn it over to you, Grant.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm happy that you're here with me today. So as we continue to maintain physical and social distancing practices in order to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe, I want to remind everyone the importance of self-care. I know that for many of us, our lives have in many ways been turned upside down, and when this is the case, it's hard for us to feel a sense of grounding. So in addition to making sure that you're getting exercise, that you're eating healthy, that you're maintaining good sleep hygiene, and that you're connecting from a distance or virtually with friends, family, neighbors, or colleagues, remember too that the practice of meditation can do wonders to help us self-regulate our emotional state of being. Last week I talked about the Glaad Technique. And for those of you who were not online with us, the Glaad Technique is a mindfulness exercise in which we pay attention to present moment experiences in order to capture moments of gratitude, learning, accomplishment, and delight. So as a means of accountability with respect to my own practice, I would like to share with you some of my Glaad moments from the last week. Gratitude comes from my Friday, and on Friday I watched Phantom of the Opera on YouTube, and it was, The Phantom is one of my first musicals that I ever saw professionally. It was the first cast album, actually CD at the time, that I purchased, and I was delighted that our very own Canadian Raman Karimloo was singing the title role of Phantom. I'm a huge fan of his. And so for Friday, my gratitude was music. And that was a real reminder to me just how music serves to nurture my soul. I have playlists for singing, for dancing, for meditation. I even have a grief playlist that helps me tap into some of those deeper sad emotions when I'm feeling that way. Learning came from Sunday. I was having tea that afternoon, and my learning was that 2 Girl Guide cookies is comforting. 3 Girl Guide cookies is too many. 4 Girl Guide cookies is wrong, always. On Monday, my accomplishment was that I sent out 2 emails that I'd actually had the intention of sending since Thursday. Thursday is my first day off. I put it on my calendar that I'm going to send these 2 emails. At the end of Thursday, I moved it to Friday. Then it went to Saturday and Sunday, and eventually on Monday I sent these 2 emails, and so that was my sense of accomplishment on Monday. And in terms of delight, that also came on Monday. And my experience was that I had lunch on the balcony for the very first time in months, probably since September. And I really was able to feel the warmth of the sun, and it was just pure delight. I really enjoyed that experience. Now, I would like to invite you at the end of our meditation to feel free to post some comments on your own Glaad moments if you feel comfortable to do so. And I also want to remind you with respect to the Glaad technique to not just make this a cognitive process, but to also connect the cognition with your body and really feel into the experience of being grateful, feel into the experience of the delight, just helping to make that connection between the head and the heart. So another quick review, what is mindfulness? Remembering that it is paying attention on purpose to the present moment without judgment. And what does this look like within the context of meditation? In its most basic form, meditation is as follows. We have an awareness of our breath, our mind wanders, we recognize that our mind has wandered, and we bring our awareness back to our breath without judgment. I would like to talk briefly about some of the consequences of not practicing mindfulness, because I think it's important to note that there is a cost when we don't practice mindfulness. So number one, when we don't practice mindfulness, we are not aware of how our mood impacts our subjective experience. So an example of this would be on Sunday when I got up, I was doing my meditation. And when I do my meditations, I always do a check-in. I check in with my head to see where my thoughts are at. I check in with my heart to see where my emotional state of being is on that day. And when I did this on Sunday, I recognized that I was experiencing a lot of grief, okay? Last week, I talked about the grief that many of us are experiencing in relation to COVID, that is percolating beneath the surface. And on Sunday, this was very prevalent for me. And by being mindful of it, okay, I was able to be aware, okay, that throughout my day, I was experiencing life through the lens of my grief, okay? When I am experiencing grief, I know that I have lower energy. I know that I'm more sensitive. And I also know that I have a tendency to be a little bit more withdrawn, okay? But having that mindfulness, okay, allows me, okay, to be able to be cognizant of the way that I am relating, not only to myself, but to the world around me. When we are not mindful, we also remain unaware of how our needs influence how we respond to our environment. What I mean by this is that we all have emotional attachment needs, such as the need to be seen, the need to be heard, the need to be loved, the need to be respected. When we do not have an awareness, okay, a mindful awareness of what our needs are, okay, when those needs don't get met in relationship, okay, it causes us to react, okay? Not having those needs met takes us into a state of activation, and we often end up reacting. We often end up reacting by lashing out or by withdrawing. But when we can be mindful of our emotional needs, okay, even if our needs aren't met, we have then the opportunity to sit back and understand, in this exchange with my partner, I really didn't feel seen, nor did I feel heard. Taking that step back rather than reacting allows us to be able to respond rather than react. And responding can look like a conversation where we can approach our partner and say, hey, in our earlier dialogue that we had today, when you said this or when you did this, it really made me feel like I wasn't heard or seen. Moving on, when we aren't mindful, we are also unaware of the tension and stress that we carry in our body. And tension and stress in the body can really play havoc to our physical state of being, okay? When we can pay attention to it and when we can be mindful of it, okay, we can then respond to that by recognizing that maybe we need to do some yoga, some stretching, maybe we need to go for a run, get some physical exercise. Maybe we need to sit and be with our emotions so that we can release some of that tension. We also miss a lot of potentially positive and beautiful moments. So when we are often so stuck in our head, we miss those moments of delight, of joy. So on Monday, when I was having lunch on the balcony, what I didn't tell you was that when I first went outside, I had my bowl of soup in one hand and I had my phone in the other hand. I'm squinting, trying to send a message to someone. And it wasn't until I heard a conversation from down below and someone exclaimed, "Isn't this delightful?" And that really captured my attention, to the extent that I realized the moment that I was missing that was in front of me. This was the first time that I was having lunch outside on the balcony. I put my phone down, I closed my eyes, and in that moment when I paid attention is when I could really feel the warmth of the sun and take in that sense of delight. We are also more likely to miss crucial information that we need to make good choices. Okay? And when we do this, we remain impulsive. Okay? So I talked earlier about eating Girl Guide cookies on Sunday. Okay? This is a really good example of this, because there I was having my tea, Girl Guide cookies within reach. Okay? And I had one, that was fine. I had two, which left me feeling comfortable, but I really wasn't aware of that. I wasn't mindful of that. And I reached for a third and had that, still wasn't mindful, still reached for another one and had that. And by that time, it was too many. So we really need to pay attention, or else we miss that crucial information. We also have a tendency, when we're not mindful, to hold on to unpleasant moments and experiences in our mind long after they're over. And when we do that, we miss those present moment experiences that can be really pleasant and delightful. That's all I want to say about that. I do want to talk now a little bit about meditation myths and misconceptions. And the first one is that I'm a bad meditator because I can't empty my mind. I've talked a little bit about the fact that meditation isn't about emptying the mind. It's more about awareness, okay? But research shows us that our mind wanders roughly about 47% of the time. And on average, if we focus on anything for about 5 to 6 seconds, our mind naturally wanders to unrelated thoughts, okay? We also know that it's really hard to suppress a thought. And often when we do, we end up thinking more about that very thought. Therefore, trying to suppress our thoughts in order to empty our mind doesn't lead to a really good, positive meditation experience. So to let you experience this, I invite you all to close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, I invite you to call to mind the image of a white polar bear. Hold the image of that white polar bear in your mind. It can be a real life looking polar bear. It can be a cartoon looking polar bear. Just continue to hold that polar bear in your mind. And now I want to invite you to think about anything you want, but whatever you do not think about a white polar bear. Feel free to open your eyes. Now, I know from experience, I've done this with lots of different groups, that roughly about, I'm going to say 80% of the people, okay, when we try to suppress a thought, it's really, really hard to do, okay? So therefore, trying to suppress and empty our mind when we meditate is not good practice, right? We want to, when our mind wanders, not suppress the thought, but simply bring our awareness back to the present moment. The next one is, I don't have time to meditate. Well, to this, I say make time to meditate. In addition to the numerous benefits that I've talked about in previous sessions, it is the only activity that will refund you back the time you spend doing it when you invest your time in daily practice. What do I mean by this? We all have a chronological age and a biological age. Our chronological age changes on our birthday every 12 months. On the other hand, our chronological age changes on our birthday every 12 months. Our biological age changes by speeding up or slowing down based on how much stress, anxiety, and worry that we carry in our bodies. Now, one of the most interesting discoveries to emerge from the research is that mindfulness meditation actually can counteract our biological aging process. Case in point, do you remember 2 weeks ago when I talked about the 50-year-old meditators, okay, who on their 50th birthday had a brain scan done, and what the researchers recognized was that those longtime meditators had the prefrontal cortex, okay, of someone half their age, okay? Other research is also shows evidence to suggest that meditation can actually offset age-related cognitive decline. Now, I have a hunch that those two research examples are linked in some way. I can't say for certain, that's just a hunch. Now, interestingly, on the flip side of that, when Martin Luther King was assassinated, he was 39 years old. Now, the team that performed the autopsy, okay, noted that if they didn't know that they were doing an autopsy on someone that was 39 years old, they would have guessed that this individual would have been closer to 60 years of age. Now, you can imagine the stress that Martin Luther King carried as being the hope and the voice for the African American people in America. It would have been immense, and as such, it had an impact on his chronological age. All this to say, make time to meditate. It will benefit you greatly. When you think about it, if you wanted to build your biceps, what would you do? You would go to the gym, you'd get some dumbbells, and you'd start doing curls. And you'd do several sets on that first day, and when you looked in the mirror to check out your bicep, what would you notice? Probably nothing. Maybe your muscle hurts, but you certainly wouldn't notice any difference in size. So what do? You go back the next day, you go back the next day, and the next, and the next. And each day you do more curls. And what happens? Over time, the tissue changes, the muscle grows until one day you flex, and you can really see that the benefits of your hard work. The same holds true when we meditate, okay? Now, think that when we have a present moment awareness, and our mind wanders, and we recognize that our mind has wandered, and we come back to present moment awareness, that is like one repetition, okay? And remember that that plays out over and over and over and over as we meditate. That is the process of meditation. And I also just want to touch on the importance of coming back, okay? Coming back to present awareness without judgment. So normally when we struggle with an exercise, when we don't live up to our expectations, okay, we have a tendency to go to war with ourselves, okay? And whenever we do that, okay, that triggers a very specific neurological pathway in the brain. And that pathway in the brain tells us that we're not good enough, that we aren't enough, okay, that we're not worthy. But every time our mind wanders and we recognize that our mind has wandered and we come back to present moment experience, we come back to the breath without judgment, okay, what that does is that it starts to create a new neurological pathway in terms of the way that we relate to ourselves, okay? Not one from, not relating to ourselves from a place of judgment, but rather from a place of non-judgment. And that's really, really critical as we meditate. Moving on, the next one, meditations will solve all my problems. Meditations, excuse me, meditations will not solve all your problems, but it will help you to navigate your problems in a more efficient and less reactive way. Research shows us that long-time meditators have less emotional reaction to negative events. In other words, meditation helps us to be reflective rather than reflexive. So rather than reacting to a situation impulsively, we can respond in deliberate, and thoughtful ways, or not at all. Through meditation, we become better at regulating our emotional state of being. When people come into my office, and no one's coming into my office now, when I see people who are dealing with anxiety, okay, most of the individuals that I see, when I ask them to rate their anxiety on a daily basis, most of them report that they are at about a 5 or 6 out of 10. So you can imagine someone relating, okay, and having anxiety, okay, at about a 5 or a 6 out of 10, relating to themselves in that way and to the world around them. When they go out into the world and something happens in their day that causes them even to go up 2 points, all of a sudden they move from a 5-6 to a 7-8. And relating to a situation from a 7-8 is really, really difficult because we're really encroaching on being in a state of panic at that point, okay? But what meditation can do for us is that it moves our baseline down. So it can move us from a 5-6 to a 4-5 to a 3-4 and eventually even to a 2-3. And you can imagine now that if you are relating to yourself and the world around you from a state of activation that is a 2-3 out of 10, and something goes bad in your day that kicks you up 2 points, then all of a sudden you're relating to that situation from a 4-5. Yes, from a 4-5. Had to do the math. Now that is radically different, okay, relating to that situation than relating to that situation from a state of activation where you're at a 7 or an 8. Success in mindfulness, or in meditation rather, is based on the stillness of my mind. First of all, I want to warn against setting goals for meditation, especially around the quality of meditation. If you want to set goals in terms of, you know, I'm gonna set a goal to meditate for 10 days or a month, that's great. As long as if you miss a day or you miss 2 days, that you don't go to war with yourself, that you don't beat yourself up over it, that's fine. I want you to remember that mindfulness meditation is not about achievement, okay? It is about awareness. Some days the process is going to happen with ease. Other days it might be a struggle. However, it does not make one session of meditation better than the other. And remember that every time we come back to the breath and our present moment awareness, it is another repetition. If you want to gauge your progress in terms of your meditation, I can almost guarantee you that it is not going to happen while you're sitting in meditation. Rather, it's going to happen when you experience something in your life in a new way. For example, you are going to notice it when instead of laying on the horn, dropping an F-bomb, and giving the finger to the person who just cut you off, you will instead just think to yourself, wow, that person must be in a real hurry. And you'll carry on your day as if it almost never happened, okay? And that's the difference, okay, between what I was just talking about. That's the difference between relating to that situation from a 7-8 out of 10 compared to a 4-5 out of 10. You might also notice it when all of a sudden you don't go to war with yourself when you make a mistake, or when you don't live up to the expectations that you had about yourself. Or you might notice it when you refrain from lashing out at someone. I had an incident, probably, I think it was last year, okay? We have a Keurig coffee machine in our waiting room. I was the first one into the office. And so I went and I took the water jug, took it to the kitchen to fill up with water. I did that, it's full of water, and I turn around and I'm gonna take it back to the waiting room, and I notice something on the floor. And I'm not mindful, and I lean down to pick it up. What happens? I get water everywhere, all over myself, all over the floor. It is a mess. Now, if that had happened 10 years ago, okay, before I started meditating, that experience would have taken me into my own place of woundedness, okay? It would have taken me into a shame state. I would have been embarrassed, and my first reaction, okay, would have been to cancel and reschedule those appointments, because I would have been too embarrassed to have my clients see me in that state looking like I just peed my pants, okay? Instead, in that moment, I was actually able to laugh at myself. I was actually able to see in that moment the humor of it all, that I was not mindful in that moment. And rather than going into that wounded place, okay, I was able to recognize that, okay, this is going to be a conversation piece for at least my first 2 or 3 sessions, and leave it at that. I would now like to move us into our meditation. Today's meditation comes from the Buddhist tradition, and it is a loving kindness meditation, also known as metta in the Buddhist faith. And I just want to touch on some research about this type of meditation. So in one of my favorite studies, it's a landmark study examining the impact of loving kindness meditation. And what the researchers found was that over a 7-week period, okay, participants experienced an increase in feelings of love, joy, contentment, gratitude, pride, hope, interest, amusement, and awe. This can be a really powerful meditation, and I think given the state of the world, it's a really important meditation for us to practice today. In this meditation, at one point, I'm going to be asking you to call to mind someone with whom you've had a difficult relationship, okay? When I do that, okay, I want to invite you not to call to mind someone that has caused you extreme trauma, okay? Call to mind a recent situation that you may have had with someone, okay, that hurt you in some way, that is activating for you, but not overwhelming. So, without further ado, let us begin. Finding a comfortable position, wherever this finds you. Closing your eyes or lowering your gaze if that feels right for you. Taking a deep breath in and letting it go with a sigh. So in and out. And again, in and out. One more time, in and out. Good. Beginning now to slow down. Allowing yourself to be present in this moment. Letting yourself settle into a breathing pattern that feels right for you. Trusting your body's wisdom as you inhale and exhale. Focusing your awareness on each breath. Allowing yourself to feel the experience of every inhalation and every exhalation. In this practice, you will be cultivating loving kindness. You all have within yourselves the natural capacity for loving kindness. Following your breath into your body, noticing in this moment whatever sensations might be present for you. Noticing whatever emotions are there for you, and just giving space to allow yourself to be present with whatever is there for you in this moment. Noticing whatever is there and just allowing it to be. Feeling into your heart center, allowing your heart to be open with love and tenderness. Softening your heart and opening up now to your own basic goodness. Remembering a time when you displayed kindness or generosity, or you showed love and acceptance to someone in need. If acknowledging your own goodness is difficult, try looking at yourself through the eyes of someone who loves you. What does that person love about you? Your loyalty, your patience, your compassion, your kindness. Or you may also recall the unconditional love you feel or have felt from a beloved pet. Feeling into this love, noticing how you feel in your body. Feeling a sense of warmth, feeling yourself be nurtured. This is loving kindness, a natural feeling that is accessible to all of you, always. Feeling into the energy of loving kindness, inviting feelings of peace and acceptance to be with you on every inhalation and every exhalation. Now let's begin to wish ourselves well by expressing words of loving kindness. I'm going to be saying some phrases aloud and invite you to repeat them either silently or aloud to yourself. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe and free from danger. May I feel at peace. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and happy. May I know the many joys of being alive. Now opening the circle of loving kindness by bringing to mind someone who is dear to you, someone whom you care about deeply. reflecting on this person's basic goodness, sensing what it is in particular that you love about him or her or them. Feeling into your heart your appreciation for this loved one. And begin your simple offering. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe and free from danger. May you feel at peace. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. May you know the many joys of being alive. Now bringing to mind a neutral person. This is someone you might see regularly, but don't know well. It might be a neighbor, or a fellow colleague, or your favorite barista. Bringing this person to mind, extending to them feelings of loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe and free from danger. May you feel at peace. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. May you know the many joys of being alive. And now, bringing to mind someone with whom you have a difficult relationship. Perhaps it's someone who has been disrespectful or mean or has harmed you in some way. Beginning to let go of feelings of resentment and dislike for this person. Imagining this person as a whole being. Imagining this person as someone who also experiences pain and suffering and heartache. Imagining for a moment this person's need for love and kindness and acceptance. Now I invite you, if possible, to extend your feelings of loving kindness to this person. Imagining the energy of your words being sent from your heart and finding their way to the heart of this person. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe and free from danger. May you feel at peace. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. May you know the many joys of being alive. Allowing now your awareness to open out in all directions. To yourself, to a dear one, to a neutral person, to a difficult person, and to all things, to all humans and animals everywhere, living in richness, in poverty, in war, in peace, in hunger, in abundance. Being aware of all the joys and all the sufferings that all beings experience. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be safe and free from danger. May all beings feel at peace. May all beings be well in body and mind. May all beings be at ease and happy. May all beings know the many joys of being alive. And now, bringing this practice to a close, bringing your awareness back to your heart center, being aware of what you're feeling, of what you are experiencing. Noticing what has changed. Noticing how your energy is different. Taking a few more breaths, allowing yourself to bask in the energy of loving kindness. When it feels right for you, I invite you to gently open your eyes. If you need to, give a little stretch, give a little wiggle. And I would like to thank you all for joining us today. I hope you find this useful, and I want to invite you all to remain safe and stay healthy, and wishing you all a peaceful day. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Grant. I invite everyone, if you'd like to share something of your experience in the chat. I've changed it so that if you'd like to make your comment available to the rest of the participants, you're able to do that as well. So many insights and aha moments for me there, Grant.
Oh, good.
Oh my goodness. I love the part that you said about not looking for the results of the meditation while you're doing the meditation,
Yeah.
but paying attention to that later.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. Yeah. You also gave me my part of the delight part of my Glaad moment today when you talked about Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, yeah.
I just wished again I knew you as a teenager, because I would have had someone else who was wearing out the cassette and trying to memorize every single word.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Good memories.
Yeah.
We have someone saying that was amazing. They're feeling more relaxed and calm.
Beautiful.
Someone shared their Glaad moments. I love hearing these. Gratitude, FaceTime to sunny hot tub, happy hour with another couple,
Beautiful.
learning, building, planning a backyard wood project, accomplished.
Nice.
Seeds for a herb garden, and delight. Oh, this is wonderful. Joyful, dressed up in a onesie costume to play with our granddaughter during.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. Wonderful. That makes me smile. Nice.
Yes, I was talking about a meditation they did this week. I hope I'm going to say it correctly. Ramadasa mantra healing.
Uh-huh.
That one you're familiar with? Yeah, well, using the finger tapping technique and chanting the words in my head and breathing.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments or anyone who'd like to share their experiences? Grateful for your webinars and joining in today. Like the idea of rep.
Nice. Yeah.
My delight moment was walking in the sunshine yesterday. Oh,
Yes.
it was really nice yesterday.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. How nice.
It's the small things that make such a big difference, she's saying. Is that true? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
One
When
silver
we pay attention, right? When we
lining,
pay
yeah.
attention. Yeah.
Time to do that might be one of the silver linings that we find in this experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it looks like the chat is winding down. I don't see any questions.
Okay.
Delight. There are amazing Cirque du Soleil YouTube 1-hour videos of their
Oh,
worldwide performances. Oh,
I heard, yes, that's right. I heard Cirque was putting their stuff online and making it available. That's cool. Thank you for the reminder. Thank
yeah. I didn't know about that one. I've got some kids who'd enjoy that too. Yeah. Good. Well, if you have any questions or comments in between, feel free to email them to our office. We'll pass them on to Grant. And otherwise, we look forward to seeing you, to being with you all again at
Yeah.
the same time next Wednesday.
Wonderful.
Take
Thank
care.
you, everyone. Namaste. Be well.
Bye.